Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to share a little bit of a look at how I plan for work. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, you guys, so I have gotten so many requests for a look at my work planner and how I plan for work and all of that. And I typically don't share that because if you don't know, I am a tax attorney and my work is very confidential. But on top of that, everybody's job is so different. Most people don't have a job that is like mine. And so what I do for work isn't really that helpful for other people, in my opinion. However, I've gotten so many requests about this and a lot of questions, and I want to preface this by saying I am not going to share a look in my work planner because I can't. It is highly confidential. Like I said, not just my choice. It is, based on what I do. I'm an attorney and I'm an attorney for the government, so I have extra secrecy around that. But this is my current work planner. You can see it's pretty beat up. I am almost done with it and I am ready to set up my new work planner, which has nothing in it. I haven't written a single word in here yet. So I figured I can kind of just take you through a little bit of how I set this up and before I put any confidential information in it. I just want to preface this by saying I am happy to answer questions about how I'm using this, but I will not share more photos. So please don't ask because I get questions all the time and it is frustrating because I do try to share a lot with you guys online, but this is my life. And sometimes I do have to set some boundaries. And this is a boundary that I personally have not set, but the government has set for me. And I'm very happy to abide by that. So I am going to put this one aside and let's get into the new one. So this is my third one of this book. The first one I had in navy one, but that one is now sold out. So this is the yearly notebook from Paper Test Designs. I believe she might be discontinuing this book and coming out with something new. So I kind of panic bought this one. The corner is a little dented, but otherwise it's in pretty good shape. And like looking at this one, it's gonna get beat up because I do take this thing back and forth from work, because I do work from home 50% of the time. So I always have this with me when I am working. Sometimes I also work on the road, not very often, but like I said, I am an attorney and I litigate. So I do travel to go to hearings in different cities, primarily New York City because I am in upstate New York. So I did order a sticker from the Coffee Monster Co. This sticker is from the Coffee Monster Co. And it's gotten really grimy, but I don't care. I'm going to put another one on here. I picked out a different one, but it hasn't arrived yet. So I'm going to just put that on there just to add a little bit of charm. And then this is the undated version. She does have a dated version. However, I have gone with the undated for a couple of reasons. Three reasons. So one was because when I first started using this, it was the middle of the year and it just didn't make sense to buy a dated one and not be able to use the first 6 months or whatever it was. And I didn't want to wait till the new year because I needed a new system for work. The second reason is because this brand is located in Germany and they are a small business. Shipping does take a while and the dated ones come out pretty late in the year. So I was a little concerned that it wouldn't get to me in time to set up for January. So doing an undated means I can start it and set it up however I need. The final reason why I do undated is because I use this for work. I only will put dates and stuff in here that I work. And sometimes I travel, I take time off, and I don't need those weeks in my planner. So I just skip them, and therefore the planner lasts me a little bit longer than a year. So let's just get into how this planner is set up. In the beginning, there's an index. I want to get better at using this. I wasn't so great at updating it regularly, and I want to really make a point of doing that. So I am going to do that for the next one. And then you get into the Calendex. I have not used this. I don't really have a purpose for it for work. I think maybe I could do some sort of future planning type thing on it, but I haven't. but it does have that, which is a really nice feature. This I do use. So this page is something that I haven't seen in other planners, but essentially has 3 months on the side, and then it's got boxes for each month. And I'm going to actually start setting this up. Okay, so I have enough weeks in the one that I am still in this one, to get me through the end of June. So I'm going to start this one with July. So I'm actually going to go ahead and kind of set up these calendars to show you just a little bit of kind of how I use this spread. So I'm going to put on music and fast forward and do it a little bit faster while I set these up, and then I will talk you through what I did. Okay, so that's all I can do so far for this. What I use these for is I use these calendars to mark where I am and if I'm working. So what I will do is I will use I pick a highlighter for each month, and I go through the mild liners, but I only have a select number of colors that I have at work. I don't have my full mild liner set, so I always want to make sure it's a color I have with me. So I only use a few colors in the rotation. But what I will do is I will just fill in the box like with a highlight. Let me show you. Here's what it looks like in my current one. I will highlight it the color when I am working that day, and then I will highlight it gray if I am working from home that day, which does impact certain things like whether or not I'm available for an in-person meeting. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same working from home or working in the office. And then the days that I don't work, I just leave blank because I'm not working. Over here, I'm going to write in some important things that are scheduled in that month as I schedule them. And over here, I keep track of how many cases I have assigned to me and everyone on my team. I am a supervisor. I supervise 4 other attorneys, so I will keep track of their caseloads as well as my own, and when I am assigning out cases, so that I can have that information to make sure that everyone has a reasonable caseload. So that's what I use this for. I'm not going to fill anything in here yet because at the time I'm planning this, it is still actually April. So I still have a couple of months before I actually move into this planner. So I don't even know what my work schedule is yet at this point. I know some days I have off, but I don't really know when I'm working from home and not. I don't plan it that far in advance. But then I do have, you know, a few things scheduled, and I'll fill that in off camera. So you have a few of these pages, enough for the full year. I typically will do every single month here, even if I'm taking off a large portion of the month, because I still need to track for the days that I am working. I don't think I have ever taken a full month off. And also my employees are still working. After that, they have a random blank page. And then you have these like the full monthly calendars. I don't have a purpose for these. I understand why the planner has them, but for me, it's a little duplicative of this. And I'd rather have the small one because all I'm really planning for these is whether I'm working or not. There's no reason for me to track anything else on those days because everything else is going to be tracked in the weekly spreads. So I just skip all of these pages, which is a little bit of a waste. But this is my work planner, so I'm not doing it to be pretty or anything. I just need it to be functional. And having another spread to update would just cause more unnecessary work. So I am just skipping all of these pages. And then we get to the weeklies eventually. I think there's like 15 months worth, which are really nice, honestly. And then there's some blank pages. And then we get to the first week. So this is what makes this planner so special to me. And I'm just going to go ahead and set up the first week in here, which is going to be, let me just get my planner here, the first week of July, which also has just a couple of days in June. So the way that this planner looks, as hopefully you can see this because it's kind of hard because it's printed pretty lightly, but on the left-hand side here, we have a horizontal weekly layout, and this horizontal weekly layout is similar to a Hobonichi week. So I don't have a Hobonichi weeks, but I do have, this is the weekly diary from Soft Paper Studios, and it's similar to a Hobonichi weeks. It's just like blank. So you can see they're a little bit smaller than Hobonichi weeks boxes, or at least than this one. I think this one's actually a little bit bigger. Because you don't have all that extra space. You know what? I do have a Hobonichi weeks. Let me go grab that. Okay, so here's one of my Hobonichi weeks spreads that I hadn't used. I have loved the Hobonichi weeks, but I struggled to make it work. And in fact, I actually used the Hobonichi weeks for work for a couple of years before I moved into this, and I struggled with it. So that's why I had actually upgraded to this one, which has been working amazingly. So this is essentially a Hobonichi weeks view right here. And what I use this for is to track a couple of things. So I'm actually going to go ahead and set this one up really quickly, and then with music, and then I will talk you through how this one works for me. Okay, so I haven't set too much up, both because of secrecy and because this is 2 months away, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But essentially, I have to write the dates in because it's undated, and so I just put the week of whatever it is at the top because these don't have the month or the year on them. And then I'm going to just highlight the name of the day of the week in either the darker blue or darker teal, I guess. Find the other one. So I have a dark teal and a light teal mile liner. These are the 2025 new colors, and those are primarily what I use at work, those and the gray. And there's a dark teal and a light teal, and I will highlight the days I'm in the office with the dark teal and the days I'm working from home with the light teal. And if I'm not working, I don't highlight it because that day doesn't really count. So I also kind of visually split these in half like this. I don't draw a line down the middle. I just kind of like mentally mark that. And then what I use this for is on this side, I will write down any schedule adjustments for the people I supervise. So if they're requesting a day off or something like that, I keep track of that because I need to approve their timesheets. On this side, in the top portion, I will track my own hours. So I have a very flexible schedule, but I do have a set hours requirement for work. So I just track what hours I worked and how many hours I have towards what I need to do during the 2-week period. And then the bottom, that's like the top 3 rows, and the bottom 3 rows, I will make note of any meetings that I have. So at this point, I don't think I have any meetings scheduled at this far in advance. I have a few things, but not in this specific week. So I don't have anything to write in right now. Then this page has like a second column here, and I break this into priorities and upcoming due dates, and I will just make bullet point lists of things I need to do. Following this, you have 7 blank pages. So well, not full pieces, 7 blank, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what you could do if you are not using this for work or whatever you're doing, you could have a page per day. I don't use it that way. I just put notes. So I will write down things that I work on. I have notes from various cases, and I will just add that in here, anything that happens that week. And then I move on to the next week and set it up. I tend to set up about a month at a time. I'm not going to set up any more in here right now because, like I said, it is also just April. So I'm not ready to move into this, but I just wanted to show you kind of how I use it. So that is what the bulk of the planner is. And then you get to the end. So let's see here. There's this one. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's not another one. And that is because the last, so this is page 494, and this goes to 600. So you have over 100 notes pages in the back. And this is just blank grid. And I use this so much. So what I'm going to need to do for myself is set up a few different indexes in the back. So I index all of my notes. So I will have like a list of my cases, and then I will make notes of what pages those cases are referenced on. So if you go back to the week I set up, which I can't find now. Here. So this is page 70. And they don't put page numbers on like the actual one that has the week, but every other page has a page number, so I can tell that's page 70. I don't actually ever need to reference that, but say I made a note about a case here on page 71, and then I will go back to my index of cases and I will make a note that there is something about that case on page 71. So when I need to figure out what's going on in the case, I can check back and read all of my notes. So I'm going to have like an index of all of my cases. I'm going to have an index of assignments I've assigned out, and various other things that I need in the back to index. So I need to just kind of like add a tab here and create those indexes. I also use a little tab. I have one of these little metal index tabs. I'm just gonna click that here, and I put this on the current week so that I can easily flip through and flip back to my current weekly spread when I need it. I'm just gonna put that back in my other one, the one I'm actually using, but that way I know where my weekly spread is, and then I will have little tabs that I'll put in here to index my cases. I'm gonna have to do all of that off camera, but I just wanted to share a look at how I'm using this. I know that this is probably not a very long video because I can't share too much, but hopefully this gave you some ideas for how you could use a planner as a work planner, and you could possibly adapt my system to work for you. I think it works really well. I'm super happy with it. I'm super happy with the A5 size. If you guys have followed me, you know I love A5. I think it's perfect for carrying back and forth, but also having enough space for notes. This is also Tomo River paper, which I absolutely love. I primarily use just like a regular gel pen in here because I am working. Occasionally though, I will use a fountain pen or something for notes, just depending on how I'm feeling. I try to make it as enjoyable as possible while still focusing to get my work done. So hopefully this was a helpful video for you. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or comments. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.